Aesthetics is in a way armor that you need to wear when you're healing.
People think aesthetics is about arrogance or vanity, but actually restoring confidence is what we do best.
The wrinkles are almost like stories of your life, and you get to choose what you want to tell.
Yeah.
You know, what you want to keep and what you want to let go.
Hello and welcome back to the Aesthetics Edge, where we talk about all things aesthetics. Today I have the lovely Dr. Terry joining me. She's one of our dermomedical trainers. She's an aesthetics specialist. She also works in longevity and happens to be one of the most loveliest trainers that we've come across.
You.
Dr. Terry, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having
Can you
me.
tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
My goodness, I have a surgical background. I've been in aesthetics since 2007, so 18 years. It's a long time.
Yeah.
And I first started as an aesthetics, and then after that, just through life, health issues, and I went down the route of hormonal balancing, nutrition, functional medicine. I went to the States to study that because it was not a big thing here.
Yeah.
And then I think that was about 2012, 13, and I wrote a book on hormonal acne, how to clear acne without medication. And then after that, I started seeing more patients with hormonal acne and hormone balancing. So that was kind of my niche at that time. And then I started growing up, getting older, in my 40s, all my patients followed me, and then started becoming perimenopause, menopause, and that's where I went into. So now I kind of work with aesthetics. I call myself integrative aesthetics and hormone doctors because I mix everything together.
Of course. Wonderful. Wow, so you're super experienced. So I really want to take it right back. So you said that you were in surgery.
Yes.
Obviously, surgery is a pretty rewarding background.
Yeah.
What made you want to make the change to go from surgery into longevity or hormonal? Because aesthetics came later, didn't it? You actually first went into more longevity.
I actually went to aesthetics first. Yeah, I went to aesthetics first. So basically, I was a senior SHO in orthopedic plastics, going to my registrar role. And at the time, the medical system was changing. We didn't even have F1 yet at the time because it's still very new. And I had to make a decision. I didn't like where surgical career was going. I saw all the female surgeons. We didn't have social media at the time, so we didn't see what female surgeons were capable of in terms of having that balance in life. So those I saw were either divorced, never seeing their children, or having affairs on the side. I was just like, okay, this is not what I want.
Yeah.
So I left medicine, or I left NHS, and just did some local work A&E, and deciding what should I do. I went into property, I went into stocks and shares, very different things. And I went for a friend's wedding, and then one of my friends said, why don't you look at Botox? And this was like 2007, was like, what is Botox?
She just wanted free Botox, didn't she?
Maybe. And I was a gentleman. And then I said, what is that? So I did some research, found a course, only a half-day course.
Yeah.
And those
For an entirely
days,
new skill set, scary, isn't it?
yeah, totally new. But then I think because of my surgical background, it gave me the ability to pick up the skills really quickly, very transferable skills. And in the back end, just really quickly just saw that 20 patients on, so I really had to jump into it and just do it really. So that's kind of like where I started, from surgery to aesthetics.
And what are some of the benefits you found of going into aesthetics versus surgery?
So with aesthetics, number one, patients are very different. Patients are a lot more healthier, and patients' downtime is so much shorter. So satisfaction is so much better as well because the recovery time is so much shorter. And just, I don't know, it's just, you make friends with your patients because they grow with you.
Yeah.
Because surgery, like I said, you can have an emergency surgery, or yes, you can go down cosmetic surgery, but how often do you need a facelift? You don't want that.
No.
But aesthetics, patients come and see you, you grow with the patient, and you also focus on the other parts like the skin, the health, the hormones, every part of their life really.
So how did you transition from aesthetics into longevity then?
So, when was it? Yeah, so in my late 20s, I was going through quite a difficult time, relationships, and then I had a burnout, and I was diagnosed with early stage cervical cancer. And then after that, I went to start researching really, kind of naturopathic medicine.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I think I must have saw a podcast or a webinar on functional medicine. It just totally piqued my interest.
Resonated. Yeah.
And that's where I went to the States to study functional medicine and hormone balancing. And then later on, I studied with the Integrative Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and where I did a year long in nutrition.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, incredible. That must have been such a stressful time for you. And then at that same time when you're going through those health issues, that's when you also up and move country to go and learn something.
Yes,
wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
that must have been really scary.
It was.
But you got through it.
You got through it, you know, and I always like to say, if it doesn't kill you, it can make you stronger.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
learn a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. So obviously going through the career you've done, you're providing very holistic care for your patients. And I find when you do that, it also improves the patient's confidence.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you if you had any particular stories or cases where you've had patients and it's not only about making them look better or feel better, you also give them their confidence back. Do you have any stories like that?
Yeah. I like to say, I always tell my patients, you know, aesthetics is in a way armor that you need to wear when you're healing. Okay, so I've had patients post chemotherapy for cancer when they're able to, then they have treatments just to get them feeling well again.
Yeah,
you know?
normal themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
rather than seeing themselves as a sick person.
Absolutely.
As a person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, because what they see in the mirror, really, they don't want to be reminded. Or after going through divorce or a job loss, you know, they're finding their jobs again, they don't want to be reminded of it. So I would say, like, you know, the wrinkles are almost like stories of your life, and you get to choose what you want to tell.
Yeah.
You know, what you want to keep and what you want to let go.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I find that, you know, a lot of people think that aesthetics is about vanity. Like, oh, look at me, I'm so beautiful. But actually, you can really restore someone's confidence. Like a few months ago, actually, I had a patient who came in, she had Bell's palsy. She's a Ukrainian refugee. She was only 19 years old. And because of the Bell's palsy, which wasn't treated quickly enough, she was left with left-sided facial droop as well as contractures. So there was a real obvious case that something needed to be done here. So when she came into my clinic, you know, she was hoping to pay for maybe 1 or 2 meals. That was all her budget was. And then I explained to her that unfortunately 1 or 2 meals is not going to be enough to really make a significant change here. So at that time, it was a split-second decision. I actually decided to give her the treatment completely free of charge, which was lovely because and I'm not
because you're able to.
Because you're able
to, yes.
Exactly. So that's how kind of how my pro bono scheme started. But the difference that she saw, and I'll see if I can get the pictures up for you guys to see in the episode at some point, were astounding. And the biggest thing was that we restored her confidence.
Yeah.
You know, she told me that she used to go through lecture halls and she'd feel subconscious because she thought everyone was looking at her.
Yes.
And most people think aesthetics is you want people to look at you.
Yes.
But for her, she didn't want anyone to look at her. She just wanted to fit in. And then after having those treatments, she actually had that opportunity. So this is why I always say that people think aesthetics is about arrogance or vanity, but actually restoring confidence is what we do best.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so wonderful. So one thing that we didn't touch upon is through transition from surgery, which, as you said, very stressful, very tiresome. How did you make that transition when you went into aesthetics? What sort of differences did you find in your lifestyle?
So I think aesthetics, when we come out, we are completely thrown into a whole new industry, and also you have to wear different hats. As you realize, you know, we're not taught how to be a business person when in medical school, you know. And so when coming out to aesthetics at that time, 2007, I was basically networking a lot and had to learn how to network. You know, go out and speak and tell people what I do, which is so foreign.
It's hard.
It's so hard.
It's the hardest part going into
Absolutely,
aesthetics.
because like in hospitals, it's different. You know, you wear your name tags like bang. You know, you're a senior SHO, you're a registrar, you're a consultant, and that is your title. But when you're aesthetics, you have to explain to people what you do. And like I said, 2007, it was still quite of a new taboo thing. People didn't want to talk about it. So I was kind of like networking, hopping into different like salons at a time, still able to, and I was kind of mobile practitioner while I was giving my CVs out to different clinics. And I was very fortunate to actually meet a very big clinic owner. She's based by Knightsbridge, next to Harrods, actually, her clinic, you know. And then 6 months.
I know which clinic you're talking about.
Yeah, you know,
it's a good clinic.
It's a very good clinic, you know. Actually, there's a few, but she's like the only female one at that time. And then, so I gave her my CV, and then 6 months after I had the interview, I got a role as her associate. So I was going up and down the country doing the treatments for her patients, basically seeing like 20 patients a day. Some weekends we're doing 3 clinics in a row. We had a driver coming around, you know. It's very different now. It's a very different time now. So that was very stressful. But it's a very different type of stress because number one, you're making your own income, you know, and you can choose how much work you put in to how much you get out.
Yeah.
Because as a hospital,
you don't get that.
You don't get that.
No.
You know, you can work overtime.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. You still get paid the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it makes a massive difference. And I completely agree with you that you're not taught at all how to run a business in the NHS. In the NHS, I respect it, and I think the doctors who stay in there, it's wonderful that they do what they do. We need them, of course we do. But it is very much you start off as a junior doctor, and then you become a middle grade doctor, and then you become a consultant, and you're just doing the same thing over and over again until you're specialized, which is great if you're really interested in the topic that you're studying, whatever it may be. But they don't teach you how to run a business, and that is definitely the most difficult part, because learning how to inject, it's very technical. You can learn it if you have some good teachers. But who's teaching you how to run a business? And this is where I always like to talk about the Business Booster course. So guys, if you haven't heard of it, the Business Booster course is fantastic because it teaches you all the things that we didn't know. So things like how to build a website, how to retain clients, how to acquire new clients, how to do Google ads and Facebook ads and Instagram ads. And you have to do all of those things. I always say that starting a business in aesthetics is actually easier than most other industries. Because your cost of entry is very low. Right? All you need, if you already have the degree, like whether you're a doctor or a nurse, then all you need is a course, which can start from 1.5k, some insurance, which is maybe £400, £500. So in around about £2,000 to £3,000, you're ready to go. Whereas you compare that to, let's say, opening up a restaurant. You need to lease the restaurant, you need to hire waiters, you need to get all of the equipment, all the dishwashers,
the risk
all of that
is higher with different business. With
Much
aesthetics,
higher.
going in, the risk is lower, and you just need to make sure you're a good practitioner, good technician, and then afterwards, everything else you will learn along the way, because like probably you and I, we had to learn along the way, because in hospital they give you a pathway, junior doctor to consultant. You kind of know what you need to do. You need to do research, and then you get that in your CV. But aesthetics, people don't tell you that. So it's really nice, having this kind of podcast and being a trainer in the medical as well. We kind of help students and practitioners to support them at the different levels.
And it's difficult. You need to show innovation. You need to be your own boss, and that all sounds very good, right? No one wants a boss, but then when you actually have to be your own boss, it's tougher than you think. There's challenges. Like for example, I never really have a day off. Like even though I technically work 2 or 3 days a week, I never have a day off, because either I'm doing something for my business, I'm working on my business rather than in it, or I'm thinking about how I can grow it. So you never really fully relax. You also need to, you actually have to take the first step forward. And the way I always say that, because there's so much to do and it can be overwhelming, I always say to students starting off in the industry, have daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, yearly goals. Write them all down and make sure you get that goal done in that time period. Because if you don't do that, procrastination is human nature. You're always going to procrastinate and you're never going to get anything done. And we've always found like the first step after doing your aesthetics journey or doing a course with us is just go and see patients. Don't worry about opening up a limited company or getting an accountant. People think so far ahead.
Absolutely.
Take it one step at a time.
Because if you've got no customers, you've got no clients, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter.
Just going out there and injecting someone, whether it's your mum, your dad, your brother, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever it is, you just have to do it. Because are you going to feel more confident the day after your course or 3 months after?
Absolutely. So I always tell students as well, it's like at the end of the course, then you decide whether you can do it. When you start injecting patients outside of the course, whether you can do it. Then after that, you need to decide whether you want to do it. And it's very different.
Yes. Exactly. Because not many people, I think most people who do well in aesthetics, they stay in aesthetics because they enjoy the lifestyle it brings, how lucrative it is. But it's the people who didn't actually try hard at the beginning, just kind of shrug their shoulders and say, well, the market is saturated.
Correct.
But in terms of market saturation, first of all, the industry is growing at 12% a year, which makes it one of the fastest growing industries in the world. And also increased regulation, we've always been promised it, but it is coming. Things are getting more difficult for non-medical practitioners doing it. And when you think that 70% procedures are all done by non-medical practitioners, the more regulations come in, all of those consumers are going to come flooding towards the medical practitioners, which means that today is a brilliant time to get into aesthetics. But we always hear the same thing, the market is saturated. I thought it when I got started. My mentor thought it was saturated, and my mentor's mentor. So it just goes back. So you just have to make the decision today, and you have to do something about it, because if you don't, you're never going to get the rat race of doing the same thing over and over again. So Terry, to finish off, if you had to give one piece of advice to either your past self or perhaps a student who's looking to get into aesthetics and longevity, what would your advice be?
So apart from being a really good practitioner, the other hats that you need to remember to develop, I would say, first you need to be a promoter, learning how to market yourself, or networking. You need to learn to be a protector. You need to protect your energy, your time, but also your money. You can make a lot of money, but you need to make sure that you keep your money and grow your money as well. And then being a pioneer, because at the end of the day, you can follow a lot of people in creating the clinic, the success, the life that they have that looks very beautiful. But at the end of the day, what success is, you need to decide what success means to you. Okay?
Yeah.
And then you can create that.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Well, Terry, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a fascinating, we always have fascinating conversations.
Absolutely.
Guys, I hope that was useful for you. If you have any questions, always drop them below in the comments and we're always happy to answer. Thank you again for joining me, and we can't wait to see you on the next episode.